Why does the black jelly bean taste the worst? Why does the black licorice taste the worst? Why do the bad guys always wear black? Why is it bad luck when you pass a black cat? So, Waffle House shooter. He's apprehended. He was known by the FBI, known by the Secret Service. His guns were given back to him, given to his father, then given back to him. He was known to be a racist, and yet he kills 4 people. He's allowed to kill 4 people at a Waffle House. Thankfully, a good patron took matters into his own hands, to which we're not hearing much about him saving the day. I would imagine if he was white, we probably would. But he's been apprehended. Apprehended. Countless times, black men have been arrested and murdered. Not a threat. Haven't committed a heinous crime such as murder. Hey, officer, I have a gun. I'm legally registered. Okay, reach for your gun. Go for your gun so that I can see. I'm reaching. Bang, 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 get shot. I'm selling CDs. Bang, 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 get shot. I'm just trying to go to the store. Bang, 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 get shot. I'm standing in my grandmother's backyard. Bang, 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 get shot. Those who claim that systematic racism doesn't exist, one of the first cards that they pull out is to say that we're playing the race card, that we're race baiting. Race baiting and playing the race card would be to make statements and use examples where racism doesn't exist. To make claims when there is no counter to the claim. It is very apparent that anybody who is not, and I'm going to steal a phrase from one of my subscribers, who is someone who is bathed in cognitive dissonance, will claim that the race card is being pulled out. That black people need to learn from history and pull themselves up by the bootstrap, to not play the victim role. We're not playing the victim role. Black people are victimized. I cannot play a victim role when I'm being victimized, because it's not a role anymore. It is just reality. You're bathed in cognitive dissonance of thinking that every black person who stands up and points out when systematic racism is occurring is pulling a race card, is race baiting. I said in a statement earlier today that I sat on the floor with a fellow Marine. We watched as Desert Storm began. As we departed each other from boot camp, I went on, evacuated Liberia, watched people being massacred and murdered. Went over to desert cleanup, saw distressed people all over the place. Went to rescue people in Bosnia, saw small kids being forced to use violence and arms to fight one another. Went down for humanitarian refugee camps down in Rwanda and Sudan. Seeing people in such distress and disorder over who owns this land and what race you are and what tribe you belong to. I seen other incidents that I can't mention. I seen humanity at its worst form. I seen Americans saying that we have to find justice for these other people. We have to find justice in these foreign lands. That women over here are not being treated properly. That children over here are not being treated properly. That these people are being subjugated in this land. While here at home, black people have been subjugated. Black people are being unjustly murdered, unjustly tried. How many times does a judge have to go to jail or hear something about a judge falsifying evidence, or a cop falsifying evidence towards somebody of color? How many times does somebody have to get murdered at the hands of police officers? You can't stand in a Starbucks. You can't go to Starbucks and order something without some person seeing you as a villain and calling the police. You can't go and just be in the presence of community without somebody thinking that you're a threat and calling the police. And when the police show up, you're a threat. You're instantly thought of as a threat. And yes, there are black police officers who do the same thing to black people. Some live in the house. Some just live in the house. But I was talking to this fellow Marine who thinks that we're playing a race card. Who thinks that we need to learn from history. We both swore an oath against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I went out and I fought the foreign enemies. Now I'm fighting the domestic enemies. Because we have a domestic enemy that is worse than any foreign enemy I've ever went against. You see, the foreign enemy was across the battlefield and they were firing their weapons at me. I could see the enemy. I knew the intent of the enemy. I knew how to dispose of the enemy. And once the enemy was disposed of, the enemy was no longer a threat. But the enemy in America is not an enemy that's on the other side of the battlefield, that's firing a weapon that's easily for me to identify and easy to fight. The enemy in America is the cognitive dissonance that you live in, the one that you're bathing in, the water that you hear in the background that you're soaking yourself in. That's the cognitive dissonance of people who can see the facts. The facts. It's not something I'm making up. See the facts of black people being arrested at a higher rate, black people being incarcerated at a higher rate, black people being murdered and shot by cops at a higher percentage rate, black people being treated unfairly in this country. We see the injustice, but yet we do nothing. They say that, he said that they want to divide us and keep, in order to conquer us, they want to keep us divided. But the cognitive dissonance that you're bathing in is keeping us more divided than anything else. Because you refuse to see what's in front of you, it keeps us more divided than anything else. I swore an oath against all enemies, foreign and domestic. My domestic enemy is the ones who tell me that I cannot freely sit in a park as a black man without somebody feeling anxious and nervous. My enemy is the ones who says that I can't walk into a store without looking at me as if I'm there to take and steal from them simply because of the hue of my skin. I swore an oath against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You see, when my son walks out the house and he has a hoodie on his head, and I have an anxiety of fear because I don't know what police officer is going to see him and think that he's a criminal. I don't know what community service person, community protection person is going to look at my son and see the hoodie on his head and think that his bag of Skittles is something that he's trying to rob somebody with or steal from somebody. I don't know if that righteous citizen is going to attack my son. I swore an oath against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I'm driving down the street, and when a police officer gets behind me, even though I know that I'm driving clean, that anxiety that builds up in me because I don't know what's on this cop's mind. I don't know who this cop is. I don't know that all they saw was a black man driving down the street in a car, and I wonder if he actually owns the car. I wonder if he stole the car. I wonder, but I don't know. He's a black man, so let me go investigate. I swore an oath against all enemies, foreign and domestic. This domestic enemy is bathing in this cognitive dissonance. You see, they can keep us separated. They can keep us divided, whoever the they is. But the sad part about it is that the they are part of the problem. They are bathing in cognitive dissonance as well. You see, how can you expect people to look at a black man and see him as purely a man, purely as a human, if you glorify the Confederacy? The ones who lost, the one who said that we declare that we must have states' rights to maintain slaves. How can you celebrate people of that mentality and believe that people are supposed to think differently? How can you have a woman who ran for president? Thankfully she lost, even though I'm not too thrilled with the one who's there, but thankfully she lost, who said that black men are super predators, who put up the prison industrial complex to make sure that black men stay in prison, who says that no, black men are super predators. And yes, I said that twice because you need to hear it, that this woman that many of you want to vote for said that your husbands, your brothers, your sons, your nephews, your grandfathers, your fathers are super predators. That goes into the minds of people. And when it goes into the mind of people, when they see a black man, they hear super predator. When they see your child walking down the street, minding his own business, coming from school, going to the store to get whatever you told him to go get, they see a super predator. promise. I gave an oath against all enemies, foreign and domestic. When you walk into a church and that man or that woman, you walk into your mosque and that man is standing there telling you to just pray, to love your enemies, to care for your enemies, but to hate your mother and your father and your brother. When they stand there on that pulpit giving you morality, the morality that says that don't fight, let's just pray. Don't fight, let's just march. Don't fight, let's just hope and wish and want and pray, and maybe one day and I see a promised land, and when I leave this earth, when I leave this existence, then I'll get to that place of glory, that place where the lamb will lay down with the lion. When we get to that place, that holy, glorious place, they get you all worked up in an emotional tizzy, and then you walk out into the land and you walk out into this world, and then that foreign, that enemy that you're supposed to love is shooting your family, is killing your kids. That enemy that you're supposed to love is denying you the ability to gain good credit, denying you the ability to buy a house. Now, when they're using banking laws to keep you from being able to have financial abundance, that don't allow you to buy the land that you live on, that don't allow you to be able to buy the businesses that you live that you shop in, when they are doing that, you're supposed to go and love them. Love your enemy. You're bathing in cognitive dissonance when you allow it. Yeah, I know the first half of this video is about those who are the oppressors and those who deny the oppressors exist. But let's get to this other meat part. Because I've sworn an oath against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You see, as a black man, I have another place that is domestic to me, and that is the black community. So when I see black people allowing their sons to walk around with their pants hanging down by their damn knees and hanging off their ass and showing their underwear, when I see them disrespecting themselves just in the way they dress, when I see black parents who do not parent their children, who have given up and they've let the child become the masters over the house, they let the child live how they want to live, treat them how they want to treat them, then I'm fighting an enemy that's foreign and domestic. I swore an oath to fight all enemies, foreign and domestic. When I watch black people complain about Asians owning all the businesses in their community, but yet you're lining up to buy them chicken wings. You're lining up to go get your hair care products. You can go get your hair care products online or go to a black ownership. You can go and you can buy, make your own damn chicken wings, or go find the black business in your community and build that. Stop freaking complaining when you won't take the option of going somewhere else. Don't complain about the Asian, the Indian, the Arab that's in your community, that's doing all the business in your community, when you're not willing to either start the business yourself or support the business that's ran by somebody who supports your community. You see, I swore an oath to fight all enemies, foreign and domestic. And this domestic enemy right now, the one that's hurting you the most, is the domestic enemy that we have within ourselves. It's the one that got us bathing in our own cognitive dissonance. The one that says that that if a white man sells something, it's better than a black man. That if an Asian person sells something, it's better than a black man. That if an Asian person is doing something, then they got it on lock. That if an Arab owns the gas station, it's better than the gas station that's owned by a brother. That's the cognitive dissonance that you're bathing in now. You might have been hooray, hooray in the first part of this video, but now you're feeling some kind of way. I know. Why? Because I swore an oath to fight all enemies, foreign and domestic. Until you're showing up at the PTA. It's an amazing thing. Beyonce has a concert, you show up. Kings of Comedy coming to town, you show up. Black Panther movie come out, Wakanda Forever, you show up. If there's a bar, a play, a party to go to, you show up. If there's a free meal, if there's a holiday dinner to go to, you show up. If there's a networking event, you show up. Your kid has a PTA, you don't show up. Your kid has parent-teacher conference, you don't show up. Your kid has homework sitting at the table, you don't show up. I'm tired. I work all day. You don't show up. Your house ain't clean. You don't show up. I swore an oath to protect all enemies, foreign and domestic. The last cognitive dissonance that you're bathing in. You meet this man, you meet this woman. You told them that you love them, but yet you don't show them that you love them. You get pregnant, you have a baby. You get the woman pregnant, she has a baby. You abandon the woman, you abandon the baby. You have all kind of animosity towards the man, so you tank the baby against the father. The black family is being destroyed. And the oppressor no longer has to do the work. You do it yourself. You do it all to yourself. The black man tells you what he needs in order for him to feel love from you. The black woman tells you what she needs in order to feel love from you. You decide that you're just not gonna do it. You just won't be. You grew up as a black man, you didn't have a man in your household. Now you're becoming a man, but instead of looking at what it takes to become a man and understanding what it takes to become a man and going out and getting the information and the knowledge that you need to be a good man, instead of doing that, you instead try to act like these suckers and these punks who is out here faking and acting like they're a man. You're trying to hang out with your boys and think that that gives you cojones. But in truth, you're just a punk who had a baby. That's it. You're not a man. Black women are screaming for real men, but they can't find one. Why? Because half of y'all are acting like stupid idiots. Black women. You get mad because you see a good black man go off with a white woman or a Spanish woman or an Asian woman. But when that good black man was with you, he told you what he needed in order for him to have love and feel love and to aspire to be great. He said he needs your support. You did it, but you had a bunch of attitude. He said that he needed you to be intimate and sexual in a certain way. Nah, that's not what we do. That's what them nasty white girls do. So, but he went over there and got it from her. He wanted to come home after a hard day and just have some peace, but no, you're arguing in his ear. You're always complaining and running your mouth. No, you're not there supporting. You're not there saying, babe, I know you had a hard day. How can I make your day better? No, you're not doing that. But then you get mad because he runs off with somebody else. Now sisters are doing the same thing, brothers. They getting tired and fed up with your bull, with your BS, with your I'm gonna. They getting tired of you thinking that you can go around and stick every female that walks through the block. They getting tired of you not being there for your sons and not being there for your daughters. So they're moving on themselves. They're moving on themselves. So don't complain about it. Don't complain about it. You see, the destruction of the black family is occurring now, mostly because we're doing it to ourselves. A KRS once said, we're headed for self-destruction. We're headed for self-destruction. How true is that today? How true is that today? Go back and listen to that song and then ask me how true that is today. Comment in the bottom how true that is today. See, I swore an oath against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So yeah, we have oppressors. We come from an oppressive state. We come from an oppressive history. And if we learn anything from history, is that the strength of the family is what pulls us out of our demise. That if we want to gain political power, we must first have family power. If we want to gain financial power, we must first have family power. If we want to gain generational power, we must first have family power. And in order for you to have family power, you got to have individual power. You got to get yourself together. The moment you get yourself together, the moment you start recognizing who you are and being a real man and a real woman, and then build a real family, you can then build real communities, you can build real businesses, and then you can have real power. So until that happens, yes, I'm going to fight this two-front battle. I'm going to fight my oppressor, but I'm also going to fight those within the group who are hurting the group. I swore an oath against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable.